the discovery the crimson sun of Kepler 438b cast long shadows across the excavation site as Dr. Elena Vasquez knelt beside the ancient stone structure. Her breath fogged in the thin atmosphere, despite her environmental suit's climate control. After 3 months of careful digging, they had finally uncovered what appeared to be the entrance to a massive underground complex. "The energy readings are off the charts," reported her assistant, Dr. James Park, his scanner beeping frantically. "Whatever's down there has been dormant for a very long time, but it's definitely not dead." Elena stood up, brushing dust from her knees. The structure before them was unlike anything in the archaeological records. The walls were made of a material that seemed to shift between metal and crystal, and strange symbols covered every surface. Most intriguingly, the symbols appeared to glow faintly whenever a human team member approached. "Captain Marcus." Chun's voice crackled through the comm system from orbit. "Dr. Vasquez, we're picking up some unusual readings from your location. The Vorthan research ship is requesting permission to send down a team." Elena nodded to herself. The Vorthans had been valuable partners in this expedition. Their advanced scanning technology had helped locate the site in the first place. "Permission granted, Captain. Tell Zixthara to bring her deep scan equipment." Within an hour, the Vorthan shuttle landed near the excavation site. Zixthara emerged, her tall, elegant form moving gracefully in the low gravity. The Vorthan's skin had a subtle blue tint, and her large eyes reflected the alien sunlight. She had been studying ancient civilizations for over 2 centuries, making her one of the galaxy's foremost experts on extinct species. "Dr. Vasquez," Zixthara said, her voice carrying the musical quality typical of her species. "These readings are most unusual. The energy signature matches nothing in our databases." Elena led the Vorthan researcher to the entrance. "We haven't been able to open it yet. The symbols seem to be some kind of locking mechanism, but we can't figure out how it works." Zixthara approached the entrance carefully, her scanner extended. The device hummed quietly as it analyzed the strange markings. "Fascinating. The symbols appear to be carved into the molecular structure of the material itself. This level of technology is far beyond anything we know." Dr. Park joined them, carrying his own equipment. "The strange thing is, the symbols glow brighter when humans get close. Watch." He stepped toward the entrance, and immediately the markings began to pulse with a soft golden light. "Curious," Zixthara mused. "It's as if the structure is designed to respond to human presence specifically." Elena frowned. "That doesn't make sense. According to our records, this planet was uninhabited when we first surveyed it 50 years ago. There's no evidence of any human civilization here." Commander Sarah Blake, the military advisor assigned to the expedition, approached the group. Her sharp eyes constantly scanned the area for potential threats. Could it be some kind of automated defense system? Maybe it's programmed to recognize human signatures? "Let me try something," Elena said, stepping forward. She placed her palm against the largest symbol on the entrance. The moment her skin made contact, the entire structure erupted in brilliant light. The symbols began moving, rearranging themselves in complex patterns that hurt to look at directly. With a deep rumble that shook the ground, the entrance began to open. Ancient mechanisms that had been sealed for eons groaned to life, and a doorway appeared in the previously solid wall. Cool air flowed out from the depths, carrying strange scents that seemed both alien and oddly familiar. "Incredible," whispered Dr. Park. "The technology is still functional after all this time." Zixthara's scanner was beeping frantically. "The energy levels inside are enormous. Whatever power source this facility uses, it's beyond our current understanding." Commander Blake drew her weapon, though she kept it lowered. "We need to be careful. We don't know what we're dealing with here." Elena activated her helmet lights and stepped through the entrance. The others followed, their footsteps echoing. In the vast corridor beyond, the walls were covered in more of the strange symbols, and the air itself seemed to shimmer with barely contained energy. As they ventured deeper, the corridor opened into a massive chamber. The ceiling stretched up into darkness, and the walls were lined with what appeared to be storage units, or perhaps display cases. In the center of the room stood a circular platform with a crystal structure rising from its center. My God, Elena breathed. This place is huge. How could something this size exist without us detecting it? Zixthara was studying her readings intently. The entire structure appears to be shielded by some kind of energy field. It's masking its true dimensions from external scanners. Dr. Park approached one of the wall units. Inside, he could see what looked like artifacts and devices of unknown purpose. Dr. Vasquez, you need to see this. Elena joined him at the display case. The artifacts inside were clearly technological in nature, but their design was unlike anything in the known galaxy. More importantly, they seemed to be sized for human hands and bodies. This is impossible, Elena said. These look like they were made by humans, but that can't be right. How could human technology exist on a planet we've never colonized? Commander, Blake was examining the central crystal structure. A pattern here matches something I've seen before. Military archives mention similar crystals found on a few other worlds, but they were always inactive. Zixthara approached the crystal cautiously. Her scanner indicated massive energy potential, but the structure remained dormant. Perhaps Dr. Vasquez should try touching it, as she did with the entrance. Elena hesitated. The crystal was beautiful, but somehow intimidating. It stood nearly 3 meters tall and seemed to contain swirling galaxies of light within its translucent structure. Are you sure that's safe? The energy appears to be contained, Zixthara replied, but the decision is yours. Taking a deep breath, Elena reached out and placed her hand on the crystal's surface. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. The entire chamber filled with brilliant light, and suddenly the air around them came alive with holographic projections. The images showed star systems, planets, and species that Elena recognized from current galactic maps. But something was wrong with the timeline. The projections seemed to be showing events from millions of years ago, yet they featured species that supposedly evolved much more recently. Look at this, Dr. Park said, pointing to a projection showing Earth's solar system. That's our home system, but it's being depicted as the center of a vast interstellar empire. The holographic display shifted, showing fleets of ships moving between stars. The vessels were clearly of human design, but their technology was far beyond anything currently available to humanity. The images showed humans traveling to distant worlds, establishing colonies, and interacting with various alien species. Zixthara's voice was barely a whisper. This shows humans as a spacefaring civilization millions of years ago. But that's impossible. Human space travel only began a few centuries ago. The display continued, showing humans creating new technologies, terraforming planets, and even what appeared to be genetic engineering of other species. Elena watched in fascination as the projections depicted humans working alongside early versions of the Vorthans, the Centauri, and dozens of other species now spread across the galaxy. Asterisk. They're showing humans as the elder species, Commander Blake said, her voice filled with disbelief. According to this, we were the first to achieve interstellar travel, the first to develop advanced technology. The holographic timeline continued forward, showing a golden age of human expansion and discovery. But then the images began to darken. The projections showed conflict, war, and eventually a catastrophic event that seemed to shatter the human empire. Dr. Park was frantically recording everything. This is rewriting everything we know about galactic history. If this is accurate, then humans weren't the newcomers to space. We were the original colonizers. The final projections showed humans making a desperate choice. They were abandoning their technology, wiping their own memories, and retreating to a single world. The images showed the process of memory erasure, the burial of technology, and the deliberate return of human civilization. They chose to forget, Elena said, her voice filled with wonder and horror. They deliberately erased their own history and started over. Zixthara-S scanner was detecting massive energy buildups throughout the facility. Dr. Vasquez, I believe your presence has activated more than just this display. The entire complex is powering up. As if to confirm her words, lights began flickering on throughout the chamber. Ancient systems that had been dormant for millions of years were coming back to life. The storage units along the walls began to glow, and the artifacts inside became visible for the first time. Commander Blake was already on her comm unit. Captain Chun, we need immediate backup down here. We found something that's going to change everything we thought we knew about human history. Elena stared at the crystal, her hand still touching its surface. Through the contact, she could feel something awakening, not just in the facility, but within herself. Memories that weren't her own began to surface, fragments of knowledge that seemed to come from somewhere deep in her genetic code. We need to contact Earth immediately, she said. The implications of this discovery are staggering. If humans were truly the first spacefaring race, then everything we've been taught about our place in the galaxy is wrong. The holographic display shifted one final time, showing a message that appeared to be directed at whoever would eventually rediscover the facility. The text was in an ancient form of human language, but somehow Elena found she could understand it perfectly. To our descendants, she read aloud. If you are reading this, then the time of awakening has begun. We hid our history to protect the galaxy from our mistakes, but the knowledge you need to reclaim your heritage awaits. Remember who you were, but choose who you will become. As the message faded, Elena realized that this was just the beginning. Across the galaxy, other human colonies were probably discovering similar facilities. The sleeping giant of human civilization was stirring, and the implications would ripple through every corner of known space. The question now, whether humanity would repeat the mistakes of the past or forge a new path forward. The choice would determine not just the future of the human species, but the fate of every civilization in the galaxy. The awakening, the emergency session of the Galactic Council, convened in the neutral space station orbiting Proxima Centauri. Representatives from 47 different species filled the vast chamber, their various forms creating a tapestry of galactic diversity. But today, the usual diplomatic pleasantries were absent. Fear hung in the air like a tangible force. High Chancellor Vextar of the Centauri Alliance called the session to order with a gesture of his 4 arms. His usually calm demeanor was replaced by barely controlled anxiety. Fellow representatives, we face a crisis that threatens the very foundation of our galactic civilization. Ambassador Zixthara stood at the central podium, her blue skin pale with exhaustion. She had spent the last week traveling between worlds, confirming what they had discovered on Kepler 438b. The evidence is undeniable. Humans are not the young species we believe them to be. They are the descendants of the progenitors, the first race to achieve interstellar travel. A ripple of nervous energy passed through the assembly. The progenitors were legends, myths spoken of in hushed tones by the oldest civilizations. They were said to be the creators of many species, the builders of the great monuments found on dead worlds throughout the galaxy. Impossible, declared Senator Krill of the Insectoid Collective, his mandibles clicking in agitation. The progenitors vanished millions of years ago. Humans only achieved spaceflight 3 centuries ago. Zixthara activated a holographic display, showing the discoveries from multiple worlds. In the past week, human colonies on 17 different planets have reported similar finds. ancient facilities that respond only to human touch, technologies that seem designed for human use. And most disturbing of all, humans are beginning to remember. The display showed footage from various human colonies. Dr. Elena Vasquez appeared. On screen, her face grave. We're receiving reports from across human space. Colonists are experiencing what they describe as awakening dreams. They're remembering things they never learned, understanding technologies they've never seen. On the space station New Geneva, Colony Administrator Rachel Torres had been experiencing the dreams for 3 days. She found herself drawn to the old mining equipment in the lower levels, equipment that had been abandoned decades ago. When she touched the controls, the machinery responded in ways that defied explanation, as if it recognized her at a genetic level. Similar reports came from the agricultural world of Harvest Prime, where farmer David Kim discovered he could somehow communicate with the planet's ecosystem directly. The plants seemed to respond to his thoughts, growing faster and stronger than ever before. The most dramatic case came from the military outpost on Fortress Station, where Commander Lisa Rodriguez found herself instinctively understanding alien technologies that had puzzled human scientists for decades. She could operate Centauri defense systems and read Vorthan star charts as if she had been trained on them her entire life. Back in the council chamber, the revelations continued. Elder Thrix of the Ancient Watchers, a species so old that their origins were lost to time, finally spoke. Their voice carried the weight of millennia. We have maintained the Guardian protocols for over 50,000 years. We have been the shepherds of galactic civilization, ensuring that the sleeping titans never awaken. The chamber fell silent. The Guardian protocols were spoken of only in the most classified archives, known only to the eldest members of each species leadership. You knew, Chancellor Vextar said, his voice barely above a whisper. You all knew what humans really were. Elder Thrix's ancient eyes reflected the weight of cosmic responsibility. The progenitors nearly destroyed the galaxy in their civil war. Entire star systems were consumed in their conflicts. They possessed power that could reshape reality itself. The holographic display shifted to show ancient records, images of devastation that spanned multiple galaxies. Worlds turned to ash, stars extinguished. The very fabric of space-time, torn and scarred by weapons of unimaginable power. In their final act of wisdom, Elder Thrix continued, the surviving progenitors chose to sacrifice their memories, their technology, their very identity. They retreated to a single world and began again as a simple species. They asked us to watch over them, to ensure they never remembered what they had been. Ambassador Zixthara's voice was filled with accusation. You manipulated human development. Every time they advanced too quickly, you introduced conflicts, disasters, setbacks. You've been holding them back for millennia. We were protecting the galaxy, Elder Thrix replied. But now the seals are breaking. The awakening has begun, and we cannot stop it. As if to emphasize the point, alarms began sounding throughout the station. Captain Marcus Chun's voice came over the communication system from his ship in orbit. Council members were detecting massive energy signatures from human space. Ancient defense systems are activating across multiple sectors. The display showed real-time feeds from across the galaxy. On Earth, the mysterious monuments like Stonehenge and the pyramids were beginning to glow with internal light. On Mars, the abandoned research stations were coming back to life. Throughout human space, dormant technologies were awakening after millions of years of sleep. Dr. Elena Vasquez appeared on screen again, broadcasting from the facility on Kepler 438b. We've made contact with the Central Archive. The progenitors left detailed records of their history and their reasons for the great forgetting. The holographic display showed the message Elena had uncovered. A figure appeared, Clearly human, but wearing technology, it seemed to bend light around itself. The being spoke in ancient human language, but the words were automatically translated. I am Architect Meridian, last of the Council of Builders. If you are viewing this, then our descendants have begun to remember. We chose to forget because our power corrupted us. We became gods among mortals, and in our arrogance, we nearly destroyed everything we claimed to protect. The message continued, revealing the true history of the galaxy. Humans had been the first to achieve faster-than-light travel, the first to develop genetic engineering, the first to unlock the secrets of dimensional manipulation. They had created many of the species now present in the Council, designing them as companions and helpers for their expanding civilization. But power without wisdom is destruction. Architect Meridian's message continued. We split into factions, each believing they knew the correct path forward. The war that followed consumed thousands of worlds. We realized that we had become a threat to the very galaxy we sought to explore. The most shocking revelation was yet to come. The message showed that the progenitors had not simply forgotten their past, they had encoded it into their genetic structure. Every human carried the potential to remember, to reclaim their heritage, but only when they were ready. The activation sequence was designed to trigger when humanity had achieved emotional and moral maturity, the message explained. When they had learned to work with other species instead of dominating them. When they had developed wisdom alongside knowledge. In the council chamber, the implications were staggering. Senator Krill's voice was barely controlled. You're saying that humans are awakening because they've proven themselves worthy? That they're ready to reclaim their status as the galaxy's elder species? The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. James Park, Alana's assistant, had been monitoring the awakening process across human space. His report was both encouraging and terrifying. The awakening isn't uniform, he explained. Humans who have worked closely with other species, who have shown compassion and wisdom, are experiencing the most complete recall. Those who harbor prejudice or seek power for its own sake are experiencing fragmented memories or none at all. On the agricultural world of Harvest Prime, farmer David Kim had used his new abilities to heal damaged ecosystems and increase crop yields for all the species on the planet. His awakening had been gentle, guided by a sense of responsibility for all life. In contrast, on the military world of Bastion, General Marcus Stone had experienced violent, chaotic visions when he tried to access the ancient weapon systems. His authoritarian nature had made him incompatible with the progenitor technologies, which required wisdom and restraint to operate. Commander Sarah Blake, who had been part of the original expedition, found herself in a unique position. Her military training had given her discipline, but her exposure to alien cultures had taught her humility. She was experiencing a balanced awakening, gaining knowledge without losing her moral compass. The progenitors built safeguards into their own legacy, Elena explained to the council. They learned from their mistakes. The awakening is selective, choosing those who have proven themselves worthy of the responsibility. Elder Thrix's ancient voice carried a note of wonder. In their final act, the progenitors may have achieved what they failed to do in their prime. They may have created a path to power that doesn't corrupt. The council session continued for hours, with representatives grappling with a new reality. The species that had been guardians for 50,000 years were now faced with the possibility that their charges were ready to graduate. Ambassador Zixthara stood again, her voice now carrying hope instead of fear. Perhaps this is not a crisis, but an opportunity. The humans of today are not the progenitors of old. They've learned to live alongside other species, to value cooperation over domination. The evidence supported her optimism. Across human space, the awakening was bringing people together rather than dividing them. On New Geneva, awakened humans were working with alien scientists to understand the ancient technologies. On Harvest Prime, the enhanced agricultural abilities were being shared freely with all species. Captain Marcus Chun, now serving as the human representative to the Emergency Council, addressed the assembly. We understand the fear our awakening has caused, but we also remember the mistakes of our ancestors. We don't seek to reclaim dominion over the galaxy. We seek to take our place as equals among the stars. The choice before the Council was clear. They could continue the old protocols, trying to suppress the awakening and maintain the status quo, or they could embrace the new reality and help guide humanity's return to the galactic community. Elder Thrix made the decision that would reshape the galaxy. The Guardian protocols are hereby dissolved. The time of secrets is over. We will stand with our human friends as they reclaim their heritage, and we will trust in the wisdom they have gained. As the council session ended, Dr. Elena Vasquez stood in the ancient facility on Kepler 438b, her hand still resting on the crystal that had started it all. She could feel the weight of history, the potential for both creation and destruction that lay within her species. But she also felt something else: hope. Humanity had been given a second chance, an opportunity to wield great power without repeating the mistakes of the past. The awakening was not an ending, but a beginning, the start of a new chapter in galactic history. The sleeping giants had awakened, but they had awakened as gardeners, not conquerors. The galaxy would never be the same. But perhaps, for the first time in millions of years, it could be better. Asterisk.